This generation is, indeed, a sad generation with happy pictures. A generation that stopped using mirrors to see how they truly look, choosing instead to use filters, editing apps, and carefully crafted versions of reality. We are the generation with thousands of followers and very few friends, the generation that can connect with anyone on Earth at any moment, yet increasingly struggles to connect with itself. And perhaps the greatest tragedy is this: never before have human beings been so connected digitally, and so disconnected emotionally. They told us to hustle. They told us to grind. They told us sleep was for the weak. They told us that if we wanted success badly enough, we had to sacrifice everything for it: our time, our relationships, our health, our peace. So we listened. And now, we are paying the price. Welcome to Narrated Human Nature. Today, we're going to examine this trend and tell ourselves the honest truth. We are going to counter the lie that endless productivity leads to fulfillment. Because something strange is happening across Africa, America, Europe, and Asia. People are working harder than ever, but feeling poorer, lonelier, more anxious, and more exhausted than ever before. Let's start with a question. If humanity has more technology, more convenience, and more opportunities than any previous generation, why are so many people struggling just to make it through the day? The answer begins with burnout. In 2019, the World Health Organization officially classified burnout as an occupational phenomenon. Not laziness, not weakness, not a character flaw. Burnout is what happens when chronic workplace stress becomes impossible to manage. Emotional exhaustion, mental fatigue, loss of motivation, loss of purpose. A feeling that no matter how hard you work, it is never enough, and millions are experiencing it. But burnout is only one part of a much larger crisis, because exhaustion rarely travels alone. It often arrives holding hands with loneliness. Think about it. When people are constantly working, constantly chasing deadlines, constantly trying to survive, what gets sacrificed first? Relationships, family dinners, friendships, community, conversation, the very things that make life feel human. Today, loneliness has become one of the fastest growing public health concerns in the world. According to global health research, roughly 1 in 4 adults reports experiencing significant loneliness. With over 7 billion people on Earth today, that's about 1.7 billion lonely souls. Among young adults, the numbers are often even higher. In some surveys, nearly half of young people say they frequently feel alone. Read that again. We have the most connected generation in human history, and one of the loneliest. Loneliness is not simply feeling sad. Researchers have found that chronic loneliness can increase the risk of heart disease, depression, anxiety, dementia, and premature death. Some studies suggest its health impact can be comparable to smoking multiple cigarettes a day. In other words, the human body experiences prolonged social isolation as a serious threat. Because we were never designed to live disconnected lives. Human beings survived because of tribes, families, villages, communities. Belonging was once necessary for survival, and somewhere along the way, many of us traded belonging for busyness. Then came social media. At first, it promised connection, but increasingly, it became a stage. Everyone looks successful. Everyone looks wealthy. Everyone looks productive. Everyone looks happy. But behind many of those smiling pictures are people quietly fighting battles nobody can see. Debt, panic attacks, insomnia, depression, high blood pressure, burnout, and sometimes thoughts they are afraid to tell anyone about. Because in today's world, many people don't feel comfortable saying, "I am struggling." They feel pressure to keep performing, to keep posting, to keep pretending. And that silence has consequences. Every year, more than 700,000 people worldwide die by suicide. That means someone, somewhere, loses their life approximately every 40 seconds. Behind every statistic is a human story. A son, a daughter, a parent, a friend, a co-worker, someone who once laughed, someone who once had dreams, someone who may have appeared completely fine from the outside, because suffering is often invisible. The person carrying the heaviest burden is not always the person crying for help. Sometimes it's the person smiling the hardest, the person still showing up, the person everyone assumes is strong. The uncomfortable truth is that hustle culture has taught many people to ignore their own warning signs. Exhausted, push harder, anxious, work more, lonely, stay busy, depressed, keep moving. But human beings are not machines. Every machine eventually overheats, every battery eventually drains, every engine eventually breaks if it is never allowed to stop. Yet somehow, we expect ourselves to function endlessly. We glorify exhaustion as if it were proof of importance. We celebrate overwork as if it were a badge of honor. And we wonder why so many people feel empty. Across the world, people are beginning to rebel against this way of living. In America, they call it quiet quitting. In China, they call it lying flat. In Europe, many countries are experimenting with shorter work weeks. In Africa, millions dream of relocation, hoping a different country might offer a different life. Different names, same message. People are tired, not because they are lazy, because they are human. And now, artificial intelligence enters the story. Machines do not sleep. Machines do not burn out. Machines do not experience emotional exhaustion. Which forces us to confront an important question. If technology can do more and more of the work, then what exactly is the purpose of our lives? Surely it cannot be endless productivity. Surely the goal of existence cannot be working ourselves into the grave. Maybe the future belongs not to those who work the longest, but to those who live the wisest. Maybe success is not about doing more. Maybe it is about needing less. Maybe fulfillment was never waiting at the finish line. Maybe it was hidden in the moments we rushed past. The conversations, the relationships, the quiet evenings, the laughter, the rest, the things that cannot be measured on a spreadsheet. So what do? We stop glorifying exhaustion. We stop confusing movement with progress. We stop measuring our worth by our productivity. We stop believing that rest must be earned. Because rest is not laziness, boundaries are not weakness, and choosing peace is not failure. You do not have to destroy yourself to prove your value. You do not have to sacrifice your health to justify your ambition. And you do not need permission to slow down. The greatest tragedy of our generation is not that we work too hard. It is that many people have forgotten why they are working in the first place. We were promised freedom, but many found fatigue. We were promised fulfillment, but many found loneliness. We were promised success, but many lost themselves while chasing it. Maybe the real revolution is not quitting work. Maybe the real revolution is remembering that your life is more important than your labor. Because one day, nobody will remember how many emails you answered. Nobody will remember how many hours you stayed online. Nobody will remember how busy you were. But the people you loved, the lives you touched, the moments you were fully present for, those things will outlive every achievement. And remember this: the world convinced us that exhaustion was the price of success. But the truth is far simpler. If reaching the top costs your health, your peace, your relationships and your soul, then you didn't climb a mountain. You slowly disappeared beneath it.